Okay, good evening, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on wherever you're joining us from. It's a pleasure to have everyone here this evening. Here from West Africa, this is evening. So tonight we want to talk about, as a continuation from where we stopped the last time. Here we had the introductory part to social and emotional learning in the classroom. And I'm going to quickly summarize what we discussed last week. I took us through the definition of social and emotional learning according to Cassell. So in briefly, social and emotional learning has to do with having a balance between the pupils or adult or anyone's social and emotional life. Not just that, that's having an equity, excellence and equity using their word, their emotions. So briefly, want to continue from where we stopped last week. Social and emotional learning has to do with striking a balance between academics and attitude. Academics and attitude, not just attitude, the way learners or the way adults, the way they're able to manage their own emotions and also the emotions and how they interact with people around them. That's what we're going to discuss, continue from tonight. Okay, so I would like to quickly also add that there are 5 competencies of social and emotional learning. According to Cassell, there are 5 competencies or skills according to the collaborative for academic, social, and emotional learning. Now, what are these 5 competencies? That is 5 areas whereby the skills are needed to have a complete child who will succeed academically and also succeed in life. It's not enough to succeed academically if in life you do not have a very good relationship with people around you. So SEL helps us to have what? To have a balance with our academics, that the pupils' academics, and also their emotional life and the way they relate with people around them. So tonight I won't be able to cover the 5 competencies. I'll just take us through 2 of those competencies. We have the self-awareness that has to do with understanding oneself, understanding oneself. In our class, we need to help the children, the students to understand themselves. They were first an individual before they became a learner in our classroom. Then we have social awareness that has to do with understanding others. That's where we have empathy, walking in another person's shoes. We have self-management, the ability to take care of oneself. And then the 4th competency is relationship skills. That's forming strong connections with others. Our students, our learners should be able to form strong connection with people around them. And the last competence is responsible decision making. Even when adults are not available to guide them, they should be able to make good decisions on their own. So all these 5 competencies are what social and emotional learning is all about, based on Cassell. That's a collaborative for academic, social, and emotional learning. Okay, we spoke about the benefit of SL in the classroom last week, and then I said it helps to improve the academic performance of our learners. It helps to improve that, to build a more positive relationship amongst the learners, their communities, the school, and even in their families. Okay, so I'd like to quickly talk on 2 of these competencies. I want to talk about the self-awareness part and also social awareness in tonight's edition. Okay, I'd like to start with something I stumbled upon during the week. Okay, it's about the story of a little boy who, before leaving for school that particular morning, his parents were involved in an argument. He saw his dad beating his mom. That's a domestic violence in the home. So obviously this child won't be happy. So he left. Okay, he was not happy with that. And then before you knew it, the school bus was outside. So you already took his bag, just took one or two things, and they already have to run after the school bus. While he was getting to the school bus, the bus assistants are like, "Oh boy, Junior, let's assume his name is Junior. Why are you always coming late to the school bus?" Okay. When he got to school, it was obvious that he was a bit late. So the teacher asked him, "Why are you dressed that way?" He had to quickly adjust his dress and the likes. Right. When his class was to start, the first teacher, okay, asked everyone to submit the assignment, and that was when Junior remember that he did not take his homework, his assignment. So in that state, he was so annoyed. He threw his bag away, and the teacher was like, "What's wrong with you?" The teacher had to take Junior to the principal. Okay, so it goes on and on like that. So the thing this tonight is that as teachers, as educators, we need to move from asking the question, "What is wrong with you?" and then to ask the question, "What's happening?" So it's not about what's wrong with Junior, but what's happening to Junior at that time. Before Junior left the house, he was not happy. He left the house in an uncomfortable situation. So everything that happened to Junior was not his fault. It was the result of the environment he found himself. And now he's transferring that frustration to anyone around him. So sometimes we see learners in our classroom being arrogant, being rudely. It's not their total fault. We need to ask the question, what's happening to them? What's happening to them? Okay. So as educators, let's move from what's wrong with you to what's happening to you. So it could be that there's something happening to Junior. Probably Junior has not eaten. Probably Junior asked something from his parent and they're not able to supply his need. It could be so many other ones. So quick one tonight. I want to look at self-awareness. Self-awareness. So what is self-awareness? Briefly, it is the ability to recognize, understand, and express one's own feelings and how they influence behavior in different situations and context. The ability to understand your own feeling. Like I said earlier, every child in our class were once an individual. Junior was once was Junior is Junior. That's his own person. So before they can belong to your classroom, before the child belongs to your classroom, that child was once an individual. So we need to come to this instant whereby we allow the children in our classroom to be aware of whom they are. And not just being aware of whom they are, there should be a balance with equity and excellence. So I am me, I am teacher Funke. So self-awareness has to me recognizing myself, to recognize my behavior, recognize my attitude, to recognize even my own attitude, my behaviors, the way it also influences others. Even though I'm an individual, my behavior can as well impact others. So let's look at self-awareness skills and how it's what it allows children to do according to CASEL in 2021. Self-awareness skills and how it allows what it allows children to do. The first one is that self-awareness allows the children and the learners in our classroom to identify their own emotions. Self-awareness allows them to identify their emotions. Okay, thank you, Fawas. Thank you, Mr. Sudaka. Hope you can listen to. Okay, the returns. All right. Aside that, it recognizes how it allows the children or learners to recognize how their thoughts and their feelings impact their behavior. They know they have thought, they have feelings, but it just there's a limit to what they really know about how their thoughts, how their feelings actually affect their own behavior. So if we teach social and emotional learning in our classroom, they're able to know that their thought, what they think in their heart, could actually affect their behaviors. Just as the Holy Bible says, as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. So we need to bring the children to a point whereby they should be able to recognize that whatever I think about, okay, my thought patterns are going to model, they are going to mold the way I behave and even relate with others around me. It also helps them to understand how their emotions and feelings can what influenced by what is going on around them. Yes. So see, SEL helps them to recognize that whatever the way they feel, their emotions at that moment, it can actually influence what is going on around them. Probably a child is not feeling so happy, and everyone around that child is feeling happy and joyful. So because within that child is not feeling too good, it's also going to influence the way the child sees everyone around. Child like, wow, why is everyone happy? Why I'm sad? Then the child starts thinking about something else. Then it helps them to be aware of their personal strength and their weaknesses. Self-awareness helps them to be aware of their personal strength and weaknesses. So we need to take them to the point whereby they know that they have strength and they have weaknesses. That boils down to our classroom. What do you celebrate in the class? Is it just their strength? No, we should always allow them to work. When they are weak, we should come to a point to tell them, yes, what you've done is not good. You can actually improve on it. So bringing SEL into the classroom helps the children to know who they are. It helps them to know that they have limits. It helps them to know that they have strength and they also have weaknesses at the same time. SL helps them to be aware of and to recognize their emotional triggers. Adults who have emotional triggers, there's not much difference between adults and children. It's just probably the age and the experience. So children have emotions, adults have emotions, and they also have emotional triggers. So these are the basic skills that self-awareness, teaching self-awareness in the classroom will help the children to know. So let's look at the skills. Okay, students, how students use self-awareness skills at school. Now, if you want to know if a child actually is aware of his or her feelings, his or her emotions, his or her character or attitude, the way the child is able to influence his or her behavior. Number one, when a child listens to classroom rules and direction, that child is actually what practicing self-awareness. When a child listens, when a child follows and listens to classroom rules and regulation, that child actually practicing self-awareness skill. The second one is that when a child plays and works together with peers, classmates, without any form of strife or fighting, that child is practicing self-awareness. The truth is that if I'm not feeling good about myself, there is no way I will feel good about others. If I don't love myself, they don't love me, I won't love others the right way I should. So self-awareness allows them to know themselves, allow them to recognize their own feeling, and that's where we have empathy coming in, walking in other people's shoes. So the child is also able to recognize and understand how their actions and their behaviors affect others. So your action as individuals, our action does only affect us, it affects other people around us. So we need learners in our classroom to be aware of all these skills and also to help them to be aware of others' emotions. I have emotions, I have feelings. The same applies to others around me. My friends, my colleagues, they also have feelings, they have emotions too. So if I know the way I feel at a point, and then I see someone behave in such way, like, oh yes, I was once in this person's shoes. Self-awareness is the key. Then it helps them to control their body and attitude to meet the expectations of a specific setting. A child who knows is herself, who is able to recognize his her own emotions, who is able to relate well with others, to show in the way the child is able to obey specific instruction. Take for instance, in classrooms, we have ground rules, we have class controls, we have those things in place. If a child is always or constantly disobeying those rules, We need to check that child. We need to allow the child to be aware of his or herself, that yes, sometimes you feel that way, you might not feel so happy in the classroom, but there's something you can do, okay, to help you manage all of those. So how to know if students are struggling with self-awareness? How to know if the learners in our classroom are struggling with self-awareness? Number one, when you notice that a child is having difficulty with communicating with others or with the teacher, that child is having challenge, or that child is struggling with self-awareness. The truth is that if I'm good about myself, if I see myself in a very good way, it's going to portray, it's going to show in the way I relate with others. So the world we're living in and these days, okay, it has come to a stage whereby the children see themselves, or even adults see themselves the way people see them. We should not be. You should have a valid point about whom you are. You see yourself as somebody great. You see yourself as someone who is capable to do all things. So if in our classroom we do not make our children realize who they are, that is, they are great, they can do things, they are geniuses, they can excel at whatever they put their mind to. If we do not encourage them to be the best of themselves, they'll be struggling, because that's at that point they don't really know about much about themselves, and then you want them to relate with others. They'll be having difficulties because I'm not able to manage my emotions. There's no way it will not affect others. So we need to help our children every now and then. Like in my class, I do morning meetings. I tell them about whom they are. I tell them they're fantastic. Okay. There is something we used to do every morning. What if it's too hard? I'm going to push through. What if you're not good enough? That's not true. What if you're too young? That's not true. So those kind of daily confessions in the classroom will help a child to boost his or her morale. Because if they feel good about themselves, trust me, they will feel good about others around them, and they are making the environment more comfortable for that child to learn. A child having difficulty with expressing his or her feelings is struggling with self-awareness. Please watch out for that. And then a child having difficulty with expressing or controlling behaviors that affect others, that child is also having what? That child is struggling with self-awareness. So what are the skills that children need to develop self-awareness? There are some skills that the children we are teaching, or the children in our vicinity, that some skills they need to that will help them to develop self-awareness. The first is emotional knowledge. That's the ability to what? To recognize and understand their feelings and the feelings of others. Some of them know they feel somehow, but they don't know, they cannot attribute that feeling to something. Yes, just still they'll just become angry, just go and annoy, start throwing tantrum and the likes. So they know they feel somehow, but cannot really tell how they feel. So what our duty as educators, what our duty as parents, we need to engage them on emotional knowledge or emotional education. Tell them it's okay to feel this way, but what you do when you're feeling that particular way is what really matters. Even from the Holy Bible, at the point Jesus got angry at some people, they even said that when we get angry, don't allow the sun to set on your anger. So it's good to have some emotions, okay, but what you do. So if they recognize their emotions and that of others, that would be a very great one. Understanding their emotions is the first way to go to being what to being having our emotional intelligence. And then we have emotional expression, being able to express their feelings in an appropriate way. You need to have knowledge of your emotion, and you need to have your what? The right way to express your emotions. It's not enough for children to know that they have emotions. The most important thing is how they express their emotions, taking cognizance that their emotion can affect them and also have impact on others. Then the third one is body awareness. The children needs to know, understand their body. They should know that sometimes the way they feel, their body, probably they are hungry, they are pressed, they need to use the restroom, things like that. They need to understand themselves. Even as girls, the way our body is different from that of boys. That's where we have excellence and equity coming in. Okay, don't teach a child self-awareness that you are a girl, you're different from a boy. The child sees the boy as someone that is very, very, as in another sex that I shouldn't relate with. No. I mean, teaching self-awareness lets them know that as a girl, your body is different from that of the boy. You should be sensitive to your body parts and the likes. So body awareness is very, very essential. It's an essential skill when talking about self-awareness. And then lastly on this, we have attention control. One skill that children need is attention control. That's the ability to attend to relevant information while resisting distractions. The ability to attend to relevant information while resisting distractions. What is good example? Take for instance, the child is in front of the TV, watching the TV, and then the child feels pressed to use the restroom. At that moment, that child needs to get up and use the restroom, but because the child is so glued to the TV, doesn't want to miss that channel. Some of them kind of they won't stand up until they're almost you as in using toilet, almost getting pressed to use the restroom at that moment, almost urinating on themselves. So attention control has to do with the child recognizing that what I need to resist distractions. There are some things that getting the child's attention at that moment. They should have a time that they need to like get off this TV channel. I can always come back to it. Let me use the restroom. So attention control. A child needs this skill. It needs emotional knowledge. A child needs emotional expression, body awareness, and then attention control. Ability to recognize that relevant information can be done despite the fact that you have distractions around you. Quick one. What are the tips to improve students' self-awareness? How can we improve students' self-awareness? The first is that you need to be an active listener. Teachers, parents, community, we need to be an active listener. These children have emotions. Okay, we need to listen to them. How are they feeling? Just like I said in the beginning, it's not about what's wrong with them, but what's happening to them. There's nothing bad if Junior's teacher would have asked him, "What happened to you today?" As mom asked that, "Is anything the matter?" So I'm just asking what's wrong with you. They need to make them aware of their struggles. We need to make them aware of their struggles. Yes, adults are having struggles, even learners, children are having struggles to let them, okay, sorry, make them aware of struggles as things happening around them, happening with their emotions, happening what they do at the time. More so, let them be aware of their strength and weaknesses. Yes, as learners, even adult, we have every human being, we have strength and weaknesses. And that boils down to you as a teacher in your class. Do you award or reward just the pupil's strength? What about their weakness? Not you trying to make them aware of their weakness and making them feel bad about it. There's a way we can talk about learners' weaknesses that is going to boost their morale, their confidence, that will make them to improve on that weakness and to become a better person. Okay, they need to be a model. Express when you're feeling big emotions and why. Parents, teachers, we need to move from being these super people that we are not able to make as in to express our emotions to our children. Just like what Jesus Christ did when he was annoyed with selling of things in the temple. Let them know that you as a teacher too, sometimes you get angry. They know that, and tell them why you got angry. And then what you do when you are annoyed at that moment, let them know. As it is, you're modeling good emotion, you're modeling good behaviors to them at that moment. Teachers, parent, community, we need to be a good model to the learners. in our classroom. So self-awareness is a foundation to skills, all the skills mentioned that will help the children to succeed in school and in life. If I do not know much about myself, there is no, I will be having difficulties with relating with others around me. So in our classroom, let's help these children become a better person and individual. Let's make them to know themselves. Let's bring out the best in them. Okay, we can teach their curriculum like in Nigeria. Social emotional learning is not a whole in our school subject. We have it in parts. Okay, but in some school, in some country, they have social and emotional learning as a complete course on its own. Not like that in Nigeria. So as teachers, the little time you have your learners, make them feel confident about themselves, make them realize their worth. Let them not see themselves only in the reflection or in the light of others. Make them see themselves as an human being, as someone who has emotions, as someone who's able to control his or her emotion, as someone who can do whatever they put their mind to. So I would like to quickly talk about social awareness, and it is the ability to be aware and to be aware and having understanding of others' thoughts and feelings. The ability to be aware and to have understanding of others' thoughts and feelings. That's basically empathy. The ability to work in other people's shoes. Now I know myself. I need other people around me. I can't do things alone. I can't collaborate on my own. You can play alone, but you need others to play together. So we need to what? We need to understand other people also. That's social awareness, how to relate with others, how empathy and kindness comes in. So quick one, according to Castle, social awareness skills help the children to do the following: help them to have an understanding of a situation from another person's point of view. That's perspective taking. Okay, I have an opinion. Yes, my opinion counts, but the other person also has an opinion. Before you conclude on something, take it right from the other person's perspective. That's perspective taking. And it helps to show an empathy and concern for others' feelings. It helps to understand how their own actions and behaviors can impact others. We need to keep telling the children this. Your behavior, your attitude have what great impact on others. The way you behave can actually be disturbing to the other person, can even kill. It's not, I tell my kids, it's not when you have a gun, you point at someone, you shoot the person, then the person said no. Your attitude, the way you relate with others, okay, the way you talk to them can actually kill them, because words actually kill a whole lot. So on that skill, that everyone to understand, to identify social cues and body cues, to understand how others may be feeling. Sometimes they don't express their feelings, but the way they feel tells us how they're feeling. And it helps to follow directions in a group or social setting. Yes. Sometimes we have collaborative work, we have projects to do together. You have your kids to play with each other on the playground. So social awareness is very, very important, and it helps them to recognize and to respect differences between themselves and others. Though we are many, we are one body. I have feelings. My classmates, the people around me have feelings too. So the way I feel, okay, that's my thought pattern, can affect my attitude, my behaviors towards others. So I should be mindful of my own attitude so it doesn't affect what people around me. So quick one, let's look at social awareness skills in the classroom. So students use social awareness skills at school when they are making new friends and when they are maintaining positive relationship with their peers and classmates. So if we have a child who's always making positive relationship with his or her child, that child on the rates, yes, very good social awareness. That child is good to go. And then when the child is communicating with new or unfamiliar people effectively, using that's asking the teacher for help when it's some of them they will need help, but they just keep quiet, they won't say anything. That child needs help on his social awareness skills. And then displaying appropriate behavior in certain places or situations. That, for instance, now knowing when to be quiet in the odd way, okay, knowing when to keep your hands to yourself, knowing when to raise your hands in the classroom. Those are good examples of social awareness. And then understanding the other sense of humor and jokes. Yes, sometimes a joke could be told in class and then the other child takes it personal. That's where social awareness is required. Coping well with loss of failure. We need to tell them that in this word, you don't just keep, as in, let's tell them that failure or mistakes are part of learning. When a child fails at something, okay, the level at which that child takes that thing depends on the skills that's been built in that child. More so, following rules and directions. That's where social awareness comes in. When a child listens and supports others, don't forget social awareness has to do with what? The way you relate, the way you teach, the way you relate, and the way you treat others around you. So, student, how to know if your student or your child is struggling with social awareness skills. The first is when a child is having trouble making new friends or maintaining friendship, that child is struggling with social awareness. And also when the child is unable to recognize appropriate or to respond to others' feelings, that child is struggling. And then when the child is having difficulty seeing how certain behaviors can have impact on others, that child is struggling. When a child is exhibiting or expressing his or herself having poor self-esteem, that child is struggling with social awareness. When a child is having difficulty expressing wants, needs, or thoughts, that is an ideas to others. If a child cannot express his or herself correctly to others, that child is struggling with social awareness skills. When a child is unable to read other people's body language, you know that that child is having what? Struggling with social awareness skills. Okay, so what foundational skills the children need to develop social awareness? They need some skills. The world we are in is a skill building world. We need skills. We need skills in this day. The first skill a child needs in social awareness is self-awareness. The child needs to know his herself, to recognize his or her own emotions and feelings. Take for instance, let's assume the child's name is let's say Joy. Her name is Joy. So Joy noticed that one of her classmates is alone and that her classmate is crying at recess. So she's aware that when she's upset, she cries. Joy sees a classmate crying at recess. So then Joy knows that when I'm also upset, okay, I cry. So Joy is able to relate to her classmates and recognize that they may be upset because they are crying. So once a child understands his or her own feelings, that child is able to relate well with other people around him or her. That's the first skill that a child needs under social awareness. And the second one is self-management. That's the ability to manage one's emotions, thoughts, and behaviors effectively and appropriately in social situations. These children need this skill. Take for instance, now that Joy sees her classmate crying, some other, as in, let's say other child in that same school will start laughing at the crying child. So instead of laughing and joining the other kids, what happened? Joy chooses to ignore those laughing at the crying child because she's aware that personally, whenever she's upset, she cries. That's where the empathy comes in. So if Joy does not understand herself, there is no way she will walk in her classmate's shoes. The third one is working memory. That's another skill our learners need this age. Working memory, the ability to maintain information over a short period of time and to put it into meaningful action. You agree with me? These are most of them don't have working memory, like we have seen in our community. You see people, they go to school, they get educated, but the impact of education is not reflecting in their life. So we need this skill. This our children needs these skills: a working memory, ability to do or to maintain information over a short period of time, and to put that information into meaningful action. It's not enough to be aware of some information. It's not enough to be aware of some people's feeling. What do you do with that? And then we have empathy or perspective taking. Empathy and perspective taking, this has to do with the ability to understand another person's viewpoint, feelings, and putting yourself in another person's shoes. So the story I said about Joy, she's able to relate to a classmate, okay, feeling upset based on her own past experiences of someone not being kind to her. So probably at the point she was upset because someone offended her, and she's seeing someone also crying. She knows that, oh, this person is crying because someone has been unkind to her. Empathy, perspective taking. Then understand the social cues. That has to do with the ability to acknowledge and interpret verbal and non-verbal cues. That's facial expressions, body language, and the tone of voice of others, and how to process them, how they relate to the social environment. That's in reference to others, to themselves, and to situations. Social emotional learning is very, very important. It's key. We have a high rate of suicidal rate in our community these days. The first is that these kids are not aware of who they are. Okay, they need to stop seeing themselves in light of others. Just in light of social media tells a whole lot. They want to be like those they see on the social media. They need to be aware that they are different. They are unique in their own way. So we've spoke about self-awareness, social awareness, how to walk in other people's shoes. You will agree with me that the chaos, the disunity in our community can be curbed if we have a lot of people showing kindness, if we have a lot of people practicing empathy. Before I talk at back on someone, okay, you have to think about it. What if this person is feeling this way because someone has offended him or her? That's empathy, perspective taking. You don't just react to what someone has said. You take it into perspective. What if this person is reacting, behaving this way because of something that has happened? It's not about what's wrong or what's happening to that individual. All right, so quick one about this social awareness skills. All right, so we can really ways we can support children in our classroom. Number one, ask them, are you good? Are you good? Are you okay? Ask them what's happening to you. Why are you upset? Now the child is upset, so become we react that same way. Ask the child, are you okay? Has anyone offended you? Then ask if there's anything they can do to help them feel better. Ask if there's something that child can do to help them feel better. And ask if that child would like to talk to a friend, or probably that child would like to be excused for some seconds or minutes. Then ask if that child needs an adult or a teacher's assistance. Okay, so I would like to stop by saying this: a child's ability to have a strong sense of social awareness grows as they continue to develop the foundational cognitive and emotional skills, that is, their emotional knowledge, their emotional and behavioral regulation, their attention and inhibition control. So all these are necessary to form higher level social emotional skills and competencies. So if a child grows older and they have not fully developed one or more of the core skills, self-awareness, self-management, this may have a negative impact on that child's development on social awareness. That to have a negative impact on the way the child sees and relate with others. So as a result, the child may display social and behavioral problems in the classroom. So, to parents, to teachers, let's teach empathy to our kids. Let's model empathy. Let's always encourage them, okay, that they are what they can be a good or better version of themselves. So, in a nutshell, let's conclude by saying that social emotional learning helps to have balance in the classroom, helps to build or to raise complete adults, complete children that will become adults. So there's a space for equity and excellence. So we don't want to build learners or children for the future in the future who are academically sound but what emotionally poor. It's not just about the academic or intelligent, but we need them to be emotionally intelligent. So these are one of the reasons why social and emotional learning is needed. So tonight we've discussed two of the five CASEL competencies: self-awareness and social awareness. Okay, so I'm going to stop here. Thanks to everyone who has viewed this. Thanks till I come your way same time next week Saturday by 6 p.m. West African time. If you have any question, feel free to use the comment box. See you. Bye.